Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder of Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. Was just dealing with the washing repairman. More parts ordered. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Good afternoon, Davey. Going comfortably numb into the weekend. That sounds like a good plan. I might throw that song on and after I'm done with the live stream. What about that song? Fantastic song. Uh, Kalani, watch out for. Is that supposed to be shake and bake, or is that sake and bake? I could go for some sake too. That was an incredible call. Thank you so much. You're a great teacher. Well, I try to do my best for everyone here. And we got a little of that shake and bake going on, going down one side, flushing it out, and then reversing, going up the other way. You got to learn that pattern because it's once you really learn to spot it and can master it, actually can be a very simple trade. Good evening, Anissa. Hope you had a wonderful week and hope everything's fine overseas. Hello, Wavy. Total bummer. Internet is out since 5 a.m. Couldn't trade. Well, sometimes it's okay to have a day like that. Now, if my internet's out, everybody's going to have an issue because then I couldn't live stream. That's why I have dual internet sources. And that's why I have the backup home generator in case power goes out. So, in order for me to not be able to be here for everyone, I would need power out, the backup generator out. That would probably do it, or I need two internets out. Oh well. But I am here today, and by the way, if you would like to join us on a regular basis, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Thanks for everybody who comes back after the stream to give some comments. Let's keep that going. Again, it's inching up slowly towards that 5K subscriber so people can join us on a regular basis. All right, that's out of the way. Just have to do the house cleaning. We already talked about non-farm payroll this morning. We had more Fed speak today. Rig count actually going up for the oil traders. So you see that inching up slowly. This came out this afternoon. Consumer credit change. Forecast 31, actual 22. So that's very interesting number, that contracting. S&P, sort of a mixed bag. You know, Tesla was up. Is the Twitter deal going to fall through? Is it going to? That's just going to be an ongoing frigging saga. But it's pretty much a mixed bag, and this is generally what you see. I should have used the thumbnail with the mixed bag signal instead of the green one. But this is generally what you see. We might have a topping pattern. I'll go over something real quick, then we can investigate it more on Sunday. FOMC still favoring that 75 basis point. Now the 75 to 100 basis point, it's not going to be 100 basis point. But both Fed speakers today stressed, that 75 potentially being very strong for July. We're pretty much back to neutral gamma, by the way. Neutral gamma. Now, if it rolls over next week, you could see some interesting back acceleration. Now, you a lot of times get these little narrower ranges with the overall, and I'm talking the body being a narrower range body. When you get to cycle tops, and you're going to attempt a rollover move. The last nice one, see cycle top on the daily, nice little narrow range candle, and then the rollover move. Not saying that's guaranteed, but we do have a potential double top in there. So watch for this. When you see cycles, again, Patrick, you know what? Thank you so much. Big shout out to Patrick, by the way. Not only did Patrick just do a super chat, the other day I couldn't remember when I gave those settings for the stochastic RSI I use for the cycles. And Patrick went back and put in a comment on that video directing people to exactly where to find that. All right, I think it was it not June 21st at about 20 minutes in on that video. So that's where I start watching this. Why did I introduce this to people? Because now, do things have to roll over right away? No, like this back in the end of May. But you start to get the narrower bodies up here with cycles at the top. You got some compression going on before the move to the downside. So I pay really close attention to the cycles at the top when I start getting topping patterns. All right. I'm watching you on a 144p. Fuzzy Mike is back. Is it Fuzzy Mike for everybody? I know I got a little glitch with the green screen going on here with this shoulder because I'm wearing a Terrapin Station tie-dye shirt. Hey, Dr. Michael. Glad you could always make it. I'm prepared for the worst. The community loves you so much. Path to 5K. Thank you, Wavy. That really means a lot to me. Again, Patrick, big shout out to Patrick for the super chat and for being a wonderful member of this community and trying to help people find the information they're looking for. Lots of put spot today and yesterday. Maybe they know something. Could be. Could be. Yes, thank you, Dr. Michael, for that good shout out for all the regulars here. Now, what are we watching? Again, we'll go over this more on Sunday, but for some people, if someone can't join us on Sunday, you can still join Friday afternoon. I just left those cycles up for earlier. This is even with this poke up, it is a valid double top on the 4 hour. And what's interesting, you have the 4 hour rotation zone. So it could pause. I mean, 4 hour cycles at the bottom, but they could definitely do a double dip with a turnover, or we could get some Sunday night price action pausing up here, taking the cycles to the top before the rollover play. The interesting thing is the 4 hour rotation zone will probably be out of the way on a closing basis below 38.68. So that, no, is this a major, let's go short to 3,000 topping pattern? No. This is a topping pattern that could take us back, but to potentially 38.14. Again, to address a question was asked earlier, why would you could always go with the conservative ones, which sort of line up better with so you have this breakout area right by the first. I'm just going to actually make it the conservative ones, and I'm going to tell you why. Normally, I would use the aggressive because the trend is down, but looking at this, and this is where I will modify my decision making because I like to look. So you see here, let me explain my logic behind here. So I have this back 38.50 area significant level, the 50% harmonic, the 50 period exponential rising right there, and the prior breakout zone, which was pretty major. You see this topping area, then confirmed, 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 confirmed. Then we started to get a break above it and then retested here. That's the first target. So that's a better first target. That's why it's always handy to assess, to assess your targets. And then below that, you have 38, 33, 25, and look at the next target, the 37.5 retracement, prior retracement harmonic. And why do I still have these harmonics up here? Because even if we poke up Sunday night and hit this 39.24 area, that does not invalidate the double top, and that would hit the 87.5 harmonic. So even if we get a poke up move here, does not invalidate the double top and would not change these targets. And look at that, straight back to a prior harmonic and right by this prior support area. See, it broke through there, came back, tested, and then started to move up again. So that is a fantastic target set of targets if this does trigger. Again, potential, let me stress. Could we stay up here and invalidate this and set up another potential topping pattern? Yes. You also see on the 4 hour, higher high, lower high RSI. So we're getting some divergences up here. And again, cycles at the top, not yet confirming a rollover, but a trigger of that double would confirm a rollover pattern. So, and really close to that 87.5% harmonic. Remember, once we closed above that 62.5, it favors a return to this higher area that we're testing. We tested very closely today. So we'll take, just remind me in a bit, we'll take a look at Amazon. Thanks for sharing the Husband Funds article. Lengthy but so informative. I like to share stuff that, I find valuable. So I'll put that in Discord. That's what Josh is referring to. Sorry, I did not mean to call you George. I saw Geo Mission, who is George, and I called Josh George, and oh well, sorry about that. Going to be an interesting July. Yes, it is. If I read it right, NQ is the only index that held the 62 retracement on the hourly today. We can take a look at that. Again, NQ is at the top. NQ, NASDAQ also has the potential double. And actually, I actually like let me just test out the, see, I actually like the aggressive targets a little more on the NQ. So let's let's just double check something. Yep. So that's what I'm going to be watching. That would be a low 11,952. You also see the rotation zone out of the way, potential divergence set up there also. So 4-hour cycles at the top, so it might stall out here for a bit before the potential rollover. Again, we don't just go short. I know some people like to go short. Okay, let's try to get a better entry. Let's try to guess this. But the problem with that, and especially for newer people who might tune into one video, then I get an email. You said there was a double top and it went up because it's a potential and this can keep going. That's why you don't front run the pattern unless you get some kind of front run entry signal. And then you have to be nimble because if the pattern never triggers, you don't want to be holding a front run pattern against a pattern that never triggers. But that would be 11,952, 11,822, 11,757 right at this area significant level, which was broken and then retested, and then 11,504, which is a 37.5. Remember, we got that close above the 62.5, and we've already hit that 87.5 and stalling out in the key statistical stall out area. That's why we're watching for that topping pattern. So let's see here. Are you referring to these? Sterling? The NQ is the only index that held the 60. Yes, on the hourly it did hold this area. It tried to poke below it, but remember, this is your key pullback reversal zone. And why wouldn't this be a double top here? Because it's not reversing enough to move. So the bigger double top, you have to still trade it on the 4 hour. So I need at least a 1 hour close below there. All right, just made sure we're on the same page. I'm not going to go through upside and downside levels. I'm just going to do sort of a macro analysis in cycles at the top. And also remember on a, not monthly, but weekly basis, we're stalling out at that rotation zone. So if this were to trigger, we would have officially then stalled out at the rotation zone and also weekly cycles at the top. Interesting enough, Dow has no potential double topping pattern. This is just a mess. So the Dow would be a breakdown play, but I'd be looking more so at the NASDAQ and S&P first because the Dow doesn't have a stronger pattern. But for this, you see this prior topping area that's reconfirmed here. So around 31,200. If the NASDAQ and the S&P are triggering patterns and the Dow's breaking below about 31,200, watching for the pullback. And then you don't have a lot of great targets. But overall, the first target I'd be utilizing is roughly there. Why that? You see emotional candle and you see this reaction right there. Emotional candle, dead stop on it, then they move away. This candle through it and then back through that level, spiking up to this other higher level, then closing at it, moving away, then finally break above it and retest. So that's what we call a significant level. You can see all the significance right there. So that would be another good target on a sell-off. There's another way to find good areas to target. So that's where that sits. We'll skip the Russell for now. Crude continues just that march up move, nearly 200 basis points higher, closing right at the rotation zone. There's still some heavy lifting to do. Cycle's still moving up on the daily, so this is where from that aggressive buy, it's just trailing the stop. The next major target is right around this 108.03. You can also keep in mind with this, you can put on your reverse harmonics. And then above that, which would be a stop raise, but the major target, this would be minor actually, major would be the 50% retracement because it's got to do some heavy lifting to get above 109.50 to 113 because anywhere in here we'd be watching for a potential rollover play in the bigger consolidation picture. What else? We have notes. Another. We're getting this pullback. I think this will be a gift trade if we get the rotation back up at some point and get this inverse head and shoulders. Next target for me is 117.12, and we could even get down to 116.19. theoretically, and that would not even invalidate this potential head and shoulders. Really, if the shoulder drops back down toward below 115, it's off. There's no more potential head and shoulders, by the way. Dollar index, little spike higher, look 107.55 harmonic, little reversal there. Oops, didn't want to move that level. So we could be getting a slight topping pattern with cycles at the top on the dollar index. So I'm going to be more so watching for a breakdown pullback play to the rotation zone, especially on the daily basis next week. VIX moving on down. Said watch that on the open. Finally, little gap up, and then the rollover play right there. Again, no, this potential double never triggered on the longer term basis, just a little spike above and then the quick runaway play. So that's where we never got the sell-off play on that, and that was a pretty substantial move down in the VIX. I'm going to be watching for a potential bottoming pattern, even on a gap open down towards this 200 again with the prior lows. What else do we have here? What else? Yeah, it is word. Yep, Sterling ZN1 working on the right shoulder. That which would be a gift trade, because that's a beautiful potential setup. Let me look at Euro US dollar. Fix this, please. Trading view. Euro US dollar, nice little spike down reversal play. By the way, that earlier double that stalled out at the first target, there's a reason that's a stop reduction target, and then went down. But this is a pretty strong reversal pattern right there. Actually, it's a very strong reversal pattern, at least in the short term. And you start getting the close above about 102. You have a pretty good play to retest some of these higher levels, especially the 102.50 to 102.80 area. And let's see this with this cycles at the bottom. Cycle, now this is a super aggressive. Not waiting for the close above the sub prior candle, but this is a very key %B with this kind of reversal pattern in the upper 25% of this candle. This is a very aggressive entry. So you see here to close this little narrow candle bar in the upper 25% of the candle is a very strong bottoming pattern for a return. That's not for a long-term entry. That's a return. And I'd be targeting, again, if you wanted the bigger targets, I'd be looking into this daily rotation zone, and the 50% level is right by the breakdown zone. Hey, Daniel, thanks for being here. I will. Go ahead. Thanks for wishing me a good weekend with the dogs. I'm just seeing what else. We got a course for Amazon. Then, we're not going to make it a long day, but it's handy to wrap stuff up. What's handy with these Friday afternoons versus Sundays is stuff that is still on my mind from the trading day. I get to explain, and then we get to regroup and assess for Sunday the bigger term picture. Amazon had just an inside day today. What would invalidate the head? What are you seeing here? What do you think about the head and shoulder pattern on Amazon? I'm not seeing a head and shoulder pattern, because this is not, if you're talking a traditional, Chris, if you're still here, explain. Here you are. This is not a head and shoulders. You can't go shoulder, head, shoulder. Why not? Anybody know? And it's not an inverse one, because that is just a horrible mess of a pattern. But this is not a head and shoulder, even though you'll see it all over. I bet you there's YouTube videos. Amazon making a head and shoulder pattern. No, a head and shoulder is a reversal pattern. Where's the move it's reversing? And it's a reversal topping pattern. Okay? So this is a topping pattern. It can't be reversing a move. It can't be reversing this move because we need an inverse head and shoulders. Yes, correct. It's not reversing a move. Verse, let me go back to what we're watching. All right. Now, this is still early. But what Sterling alluded to is I'm just going to draw on a line here. Let's say we come like this. Let's say we get some candles. Actually, let me do it like this. I'm just going to hypothetically, because this might never happen. So you got to keep that in mind. If it does not, I need a where's just a box. I forgot where the boxes are. Here we go. So if I draw something like this, I'm just encapsulating a bunch of candles into one. It just wouldn't be one big candle like that. Pretend there's a series of candles that made a big green move like this. All right? So this is not just one candle. This would be a series of them. I'm just not going to spend the time to draw a series of them. Now, why is this a reversal pattern? Because you'd have shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline, reversing this move. So an inverse head and shoulders is a bottoming pattern, and this one is valid because it's reversing this move. Now back to Amazon. This, yes, if it was reversing a move lower, let's say we were down here and went into here. So back to my imaginary artwork. Ignore this. Let's say instead of that we had, turn off my magnet. Let's say instead of, geez, come on. Let's say we had a series of green candles that did this. So this is an imaginary series of green candles, okay? So you didn't have this down move. You had this instead. Ignore this, but say we had a series of green candles, and then we went shoulder, head, shoulder. That would be a valid head and shoulders. Why? Because we'd be reversing this move. Hope that makes sense. So no, don't apologize. Hey, nobody needs to apologize here unless you're trying to spam the channel. Okay, and you're not, Chris. I'm trying to explain because this is a very good question, and if people don't ask questions, there probably are other people who might tune in not during the live stream thinking the same thing, and that's what I'm trying to explain. Because all the people who are sitting there and, you know, saying, oh, Amazon has a head and shoulders on it. No, it doesn't. They're not doing technical analysis, and it's irrelevant because you can't use the targets based off that. It doesn't test out at all. It would just test out because there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 bottom. But that would just be a quad bottom break. And that's gonna, when Amazon does roll over and breaks this, look, we already have targets. The next one is 94,670, and then we have the 81.55. So those are the targets I will be utilizing for the next break lower in Amazon. What do we meantime have in this? We have a sloppy mess. This is not a double bottom. This was a double that played out. We highlighted on this channel. This is not a double because it's not reversing enough of a move. So you cannot use double targets. If we continued rally, what would I be watching for? Let me pull off these other levels real quick. The next play for me, since it's in no man's land, we have an inside bar. Either we start breaking below 112.50 and then I'm watching for some retests of some lower prices, or we start breaking above. There's too much overhead resistance right here. We've already filled the gap. We have the 50 right above. Right above that, we have the 62% harmonic. My play would be on waiting unless there was amazing momentum play intraday with a very strong market. Then I'd play for the short-term play to the 50 and the 62.5 target area. Would I hold it overnight? Not unless we got a close above the 62.5. Then, if we got the close above the 62.5, and when I say close, you know what? You're going into the last 5 minutes of the market, and judging, am I holding this or not? If it spiked up here and dropped back down, no, I'm not holding. If it spiked up here and is going to close above that level, especially it's 119.25 or 119.20 roughly. And if it's like going to close right at that level, I err on the side of taking it off because I can always get back in, especially in this market. But if you get a close above there, then I have my statistical probabilities to return to this upper 120s, close to 126 area. Other than that, there's no great patterns. And why would I need it to also close above there? Because we got cycles at the top on the daily and cycles at the top on the weekly against the weekly rotation zone. So that's why there's still no play. I need something to shift. Now, what would I be more favoring with cycles at the top on the daily and the weekly? If it does start breaking below this 112.50 area, it'd be the short play for a retest of some of these lows. But remember, every stock does not have to be a play every day. You're better to learn to watch a handful of stocks and then say, look, no play in Amazon. I can set some alerts. You go in, you set some alerts. You start breaking above those alerts intraday. Hey, let me take a quick look. I've already planned out my breakout or breakdown play. Hey, we're getting that breakout play in Amazon. Let me jump on it. But let's say Amazon just sits in this range on Monday. There's nothing to do. I wouldn't trade it. Why am I trying to trade something in a tight range? It's too tough. I'll go through my other list. Let me check. Let's pretend. Let's say you're trading mega caps. All right, what are my plays in Apple? What are my plays in Microsoft? What are my plays in Amazon? What are my plays in Nvidia? What are my plays in Tesla? All right, let's say 3 out of 4 aren't doing anything. Well, throw them off the list and let's go to the one that is. It's where a lot of people, and I just cited Tesla, and there's not always a great play in Tesla. Today I talked about on that breakout play, watching for this 50 in this area right here, and look where we closed. We spiked above it, but then look where we closed. That was the play. There was a momentum play in Tesla, and it was based off, can Elon get out of the Twitter if he can, or the Twitter's going to reduce the price, which they're going to court before that happens. But that's the play. It was just a breakout play. So there was a play there intraday. But if that just sat there, there wouldn't have been a play. So learn to not get married. That's why too many people, when Tesla does something like this, back on the day of, July 1st, there was no trade in there. There was no trade. Remember, then we formed a double bottom, then we triggered a double bottom, then we got the double bottom play. That was the trade. Some days they're just not a trade in a stock. So that's why people who try to force a trade every day, I got to get a trade in Tesla every day, or I got to get a trade in Apple, or I got to get a trade, even in the futures. It's why I got to get a trade in the S&P. Let's say the S&P does not have any good setups. Then there's no setups in the S&P. If there's no setups in the S&P, in the NASDAQ, in the Dow, in the Russell, in the notes, maybe sit on the hands. Yeah, I saw there was a comment. There still is a gap here, by the way, in the Russell. So on a breakout play, that is still the next target. Well, thank you, Patrick. Just trying to put in some more teaching moments, especially for the people who want to spend some time. I really value the people who tune in on a Friday afternoon when you could be doing something else or starting the weekend early. This shows me the people who really want to learn something. So I appreciate everyone, instead of me sitting here by myself talking into my screen, which then I'd probably just take the afternoon off. You are welcome, Chris. You are welcome. Again, that's why don't be afraid if you're hiding in the background, because there's a number of people watching who are hiding in the background. Don't be afraid to ask a question. That's how you learn. And I've been doing this for newer people since 1992, so it's not like I'm I haven't been around the block a few times. And don't be intimidated by a crazy guy wearing a tie-dye doing technical analysis. You are welcome, Lauren. You are welcome, Anissa. I think that's a good way to wrap it up for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend as well. And I will be back Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central to prepare for next week, full trading week. We got earnings, bank earnings starting next week. We got inflation numbers. Let's just take a quick glance at that. Let's just take a quick glance. Where are my numbers? Next 7 days. Let's see. We got core inflation coming out July 13th. So remember that. What's that? Monday is the 11th. Wednesday. Just want to remind it myself. Wednesday, big number on inflation. And then we got bank earnings starting on Thursday. So next week could be pretty interesting. 6 months, dark screen sleep. Thank you again for being here. You're starting to become a regular. 6 months of learning trading. Should I start trading with real money? That I don't, again, if you are, you can always start. It changes once you do real money. So that's why, and I don't know what you're trading. If you're trading the futures, I'd be in the micros with taking very limited risk. In stocks, I'd be trading very small position size. There's nothing wrong because once you put real money towards it, everything changes. What you might see clearly with fake money or no money, people get blinders on once they put on money. So yes, but remember, it's going to take a while once you start trading with real money. But I advise and it's risk capital only. Don't trade with your rent or your mortgage or your car payment. If you cannot afford risk capital to say, okay, this money could simply go away, then don't start yet. Don't start until you have absolute risk money, which means, hey, it's like saying I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. If I blow it all at the blackjack table, it's not going to affect my life. I'm going to have fun doing it. Now you got to take trading a little more seriously than sitting down at a slot machine or a blackjack table, unless you're a card counter. But, be prepared to go through some losses. It's just the nature of getting everything down. You're welcome, Sterling. You too, Davey. Do you expect earnings compression to start next set of quarter? I do expect there'll be some earnings compression starting with this quarter earnings coming up. You want to trade NASDAQ and do you want to trade the futures or the spiders and the Qs? What I'd recommend, because it's actually better trading, is doing the micro futures. So you can open up a small futures account. Now, micro futures allow you to take very little risk, and it's still, even with, futures. Then, my advice, find a reputable broker that has, works with the micro, not the mini, the micro, and take very limited risk with it and learn to start executing with that. I think some will, not all, some will. And I think even if they hit, I'd really watch for guidance. So even if some hits, because some have already been giving guidance lower and they might hit already lowered guidance, but start watching for them what they guide for the next quarter. Because then the markets, even if they hit their numbers and they guide lower, then you're going to start getting some potential sell-off patterns. Yes, absolutely. Forex is it's more challenging. You get better patterns in the futures. And I'm not talking the FX futures because you can trade, you can trade the futures on the CME for FX. I think you get even better patterns in big things, like especially the S&P gives a lot better patterns. So you trade the S&P micro futures, you can really learn to spot patterns. And you don't have to worry, even if it goes fast market, you can generally get out of stuff without getting too much too much pain, and you don't trade like with FOMC announcements or big numbers coming out. You sit on the sidelines when you're first starting. So I would definitely say, if I was going to advise somebody where to start that wasn't just looking at stocks, but in the futures, I'd say really learn to watch price action in the bigger futures contracts, specifically the S&P, first and foremost, then the NASDAQ. And based off now, I'd even start to learn how to analyze price action in stuff like the notes, because there will be continued good price trading in that. And then I would also shift to crude micro futures, but crude is a little tougher, but you can get some really good trades and runs. Did I ever work on Wall Street? I was a prop trader. I came up on the SIBO as a market maker, and then a market maker over on the SOFEX. And then I went I was a prop trader in New York. The office was right down from Wall Street. And prop trader's a proprietary trader, for anybody who doesn't know. So there you go. That's my advice to even people watching this. Learn, and you're better to trade deeper markets that have good setups. I'm like Jordan Belfort, huh? So, and then I was a pairs trader also. Pairs trading is very interesting. It's what really got me good at trading around a core position, was pairs trading. But pairs trading is a very interesting game also. And now, I mean, you can pairs trade around stuff like the uranium market. Some of these commodity markets are really good too. You're not pairs trading it, you're trading around a core position, which is essentially what you're doing in a pair, trading a pair, a stock pair. All right. Thanks for all the questions. I am going to wrap this up again. Thank you for jumping in, asking those questions. Dark Screen Sleep and Chris, thank you for your questions. Thank you for everybody being here. Again, wonderful weekend. If you can come in on Sunday and join me for the market prep, it's always good to watch it live, because then you can ask questions and continue to learn in the environment instead of watching the recording. But I understand if you're with your family or there's other pressing things, at least come back and watch the recording. With that, I will talk to everyone later. You are welcome, Paul. You are welcome, Dark Screen Sleep. I have trouble saying that for a reason. Dark Screen Sleep. Hey, John, thanks for the thumbs up. I see you have a nice kitty. Talk to everyone. Bye for now.